Uh, Welcome back to another indie interview. I am joined with a very, very special guest today. I'm joined by Fiona Paulo. Fiona, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Fiona Apollo. I have recently started dipping my feet into the indie animation sphere, but I'm probably most known for my YouTube channel. I mostly talk about art commentary, internet culture, mostly things to do with the animation industry and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that was actually how I got introduced to your work because it's always fun to watch like an art commentator person, you know, uh, who works in art talk about animation as opposed to just some rando online. But yeah, yeah, your thing. This was actually the video I got introduced to you on
Being of
the Encanto video you did.
Oh,
Wh-
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tends to be most people's introduction to me.
Mhm,
I don't know why it was that one in particular that ended up like it's basically my most popular video.
mhm, mhm. No,
I'm still a bit
yeah.
un I'm still a bit unclear on why
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it might have just been like also kind of the reason why Encanto got popular of like, man, it just hit the right time at the right place of like
Mm.
COVID, everyone was inside, but like they had a huge cultural zeitgeist. Uh yeah, but today, starring your like very lovely character on here. Today we are going to be talking about your own original series that you've been in the works with for quite some time. Mint and Friends, I believe. Do you want to kind of give us a brief summary of Mint and Friends, first of all?
Yeah, sure thing. So, like you said, it's been in the works for a little while. It's gone through a bit of a weird evolution to get to the point where it is an indie animation story. Because, as you can see, I do use the main character Mint as my persona character on my channel, and essentially, somewhere along the way, I think it was my gender swapping video. I eventually started thinking, hey, this character might be really cool as like a gender fluid character, just to kind of create some
Oh.
sense of mental separation from like me and the little animated person. Yeah, just to keep it from getting a bit too confusing. And then eventually I just started giving background, giving them a personality, all of this lore, and eventually that ended up progressing into giving them a girlfriend, which is the character Sorbet. She's the
Mm.
little yellow one. And from there, it just kind of kept going. I started making TikToks with them, like little character TikToks. And after that, I just decided, actually, I want to make a story with these guys.
Mhm.
And I knew that I couldn't really do much on my own. I work full time, I do YouTube. I don't really have the capacity to do anything like a 20-minute pilot like we're seeing with a lot of indie animated series at the moment, which are all fantastic.
You don't have time
So
to have like an actual big
yeah.
voice acting celebrity in it.
Oh god, no. So yeah, what I've basically decided to do is to have short increments in the
Mhm.
form of like 1 minute shorts on both YouTube and TikTok. Uh, and that's where the story kind of came into it because at the time that that was developing, I came across a bunch of interview videos on TikTok in particular of different celebrities. So it just evolved from there.
Yeah, yeah, I love seeing that, especially with indie animation of like just or just even art in general, just how originally it kind of just starts on as kind of like a side thing you have in your back in the back of your head, and then it just keeps on growing and growing. It's like, it grew legs, and now it's doing its very own thing.
It grew legs, so it started running.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now tell me, was the main the interviews themselves, were they inspired like in the art style? Do you want to do like an animation thing, or is what you're going for more of a web comic, or just like a right for now, just kind of doing shorts until you get that traction so you can make like a full thing. Like a full indie anime short or
I mean, I would love to do something like that. I am hoping for it to be kind of like properly animated as opposed to
Mhm.
like a web comic or anything like that. Um, at the moment, that's kind of up in the air as to what comes after these shorts. Uh, they are going to kind of be like anime-ish, so there is
Mhm.
going to be kind of that tone involved.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm kind of one of those people who has to dive into something while it's half baked.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I chicken out. So we're just going to see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of when you brought up anime, I'm just curious, was there any, stuff that like animation that inspired this? Because other than like, the celebrity interviews you talked about, because when I saw this, it reminded me of like kind of like more early 2000s rom-comish, like stakes are low anime, like kind of like that host club anime. Uh,
It's actually perfect that you mentioned Host Club because Host Club is one of the main inspirations. I think that and surprisingly Totally Spies for like the kind of aesthetic
oh,
inspiration.
the different. So what you're saying is your character's going to have lots of different outfits.
I would like them to, yeah. I
Yeah.
think in the main interviews where they're like sat down and being spoken to and speaking about themselves, it'll be like one main outfit, but
Hmm.
there will be different outfits sprinkled in through like flashbacks and stuff like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember that era of like kind of new anime, new like country, like new countries getting their animation to us, to different like countries in the West, like America or the UK, and it's like, oh man, or in like host club and stuff like the Totally Spies. It's like, oh, this feels like this feels different. Yeah. Yeah. Now, your main character, as you've mentioned before, is your avatar, Mint. And Mint is a somewhat gender fluid new character. What's their role in the story? Uh,
uh, I think more so is just if the story ever does get developed
mhm,
past the shorts, Mint would be the kind of protagonist because they kind of give that energy.
mhm,
They leave their old life behind essentially and move to this new city, which has all of these great creative people in it, and they use that as kind of a catalyst to figure out their identity and figure out what they want to do with their life,
mhm,
and it just kind of goes from there, really.
mhm. Yeah, totally. Uh, Now you've mentioned like this is somewhat. Well, you've used this as your avatar. Is Mint? If you were to do more animation for this character, would you like the voice mint, or would you like to find a voice actor, or do you already have a voice actor for them?
So, I actually do have a voice actor for Mint. I've recently wrapped up the casting call. So that finished
Mhm,
on the 30th of April. Casting calls for Mint in particular ended on the 10th.
mhm.
And we actually did manage to find a voice actor. They are absolutely fantastic. We've already recorded the first short. And that would be Arden Shane, who is absolutely fabulous. And they're such a
Ooh,
lovely person as well.
yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, for anyone curious, here's Art Shane's Twitter stuff. What was the uh when you were doing auditions for Mint? Did you have any lines you wanted them to say, or like what particularly won you over? Like, did you want them to sing a song, or like do some lines from another show, or anything like that?
So the casting call, it was a little bit kind of, uh, I think it was a bit of a half-baked rush job, as it mostly is with me,
Mm,
because it was my first ever time doing one. So initially, when I first put the post out, I didn't actually have any sample lines, which is very naughty
ooh,
of me. But I did put some together. It was mostly just one line of the short script, which, because it's only a minute, I think most lines with the VAs, the most they're probably going to be speaking per short is about 90 words.
mm,
So it was literally just a sentence.
yeah.
And that was pretty much the case for most other characters as well. And yeah, Arden actually didn't submit voice samples purely
Ooh.
because they had a cold at the time. But I was just that impressed with their voice that, yeah,
Mhm.
it just felt like they went together.
That's wonderful. Now you mentioned they're going to be doing interviews because they're all in the entertainment industry. What does Mint have a particular skill, or what are they trying to aspire to be? Or
So that kind of ties into Mint being the protagonist of this as well, because they're kind of an outlier.
mhm.
Essentially, Mint. I found this out recently when I was explaining it to Arden when they asked this. But Mint seems to have this kind of origin story similar to Dylan Mulvaney, if you know who that is.
Yes, I do. Well, I
Yeah,
just
so
remember people getting very mad, and then look. Then that's how I found out who Dylan Mulvaney was.
yeah, for anyone who isn't sure who's watching, Dylan Mulvaney is a trans woman who became popular on TikTok around, I think it was 2020, by
Yeah.
documenting her transition. So she would say, "Oh, this is day 108 of being a girl."
Mhm.
and it just kind of developed from there. And she just suddenly had this massive platform, and all of a sudden she was talking to Joe Biden in the White House, and
Wow,
being sent
crazy.
Bud Light for a promotion campaign.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was basically that was the idea I had for Mint. They randomly went viral, which reflected my Encanto video
Mhm.
getting so popular as well. And all of a sudden, they were having these opportunities thrown at them. So,
Mhm.
with the setting of the story, there is a charity event happening in which the city is celebrating its creative people in the entertainment industry. And
Mhm.
Mint has been brought on because of the virality and also to basically help promote it via social media. So that's the
Mhm.
idea with them.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the social media in this, are you going to use like, are you going to try and just use a very vague social media? Or are you going to do like one of those rip-off social medias like, oh, it's Tic Tac. It's Tic Tac and Yatu.
I think probably I'm gonna have to because I think in one shot I've already like stolen the profile page for TikTok. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That's wonderful. Uh, now, of course, you've mentioned it's not just Mint on here. There are other several characters. I think maybe the one I've seen, well, maybe the third, but like the one I've seen a lot of art with, especially with Mint as well, is this character Sorbet. Uh,
Yeah, that's right.
and from what I hear, she's a songwriter. And how does that work with Mint? Were they like childhood friends, or were they always like with each other, or is she someone like Mint is running into in the big city now?
So I think in the past, the idea for them is that Mint did come in and out of the city from time to time just to visit.
Mhm.
And eventually they stumbled across Sorbet while she was either in her band. The background with Sorbet is that she was originally a drummer and a songwriter for a band
Yes.
she was in with another character who was doing the interviews, but also her brother who was called Licorice. And they
Mm.
were in a band called Pop Rocks together.
Can I
Basically,
say
like,
all
yeah.
these names are making me very hungry?
Yeah, there's a bit of a food theme with all the character names.
Oh, I love that.
It just seemed cute, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, they were all in a band together, and my idea is either Mint went to one of the shows and they met that way, or Mint ended up attending like some kind of live reading that Sorbet was doing because
Mhm.
Sorbet is also she has a very active imagination. She is obsessed with fantasy stories. She likes sci-fi.
Mhm.
Her current role, as these interviews are going on at the moment, is that she is a ghostwriter and she is
Mm.
trying to get her own stories published. But she's very like full on with it. Like she just wants to tell you about everything that she's thinking, all of her ideas, and
Yeah,
it's very endearing.
yeah,
And yeah, I
yeah, I
think they just kind of won each other over because
mhm.
Mintz was very invested in the stories.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I mean, anyone who's willing to listen to a ghostwriter's ideas is instantly their best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, uh, what's other than like just their friendship? Would you say Sorbet and like Mint are they the ones like the closest connected of the main group, or are they more just like or for now, do you just want to do like a general friend thing, or?
So, in terms of general relationships, that does play into the shorts quite a bit because a few of these characters do know each other prior to the interviews happening. So, like I said before, Sorbet was with, she was familiar with another character who they were in a band
Mhm.
with. Uh, Mint and Sorbet are obviously like, partners. Uh, so, yeah, there is a little bit of like interpersonal relationships mixing into the shorts themselves, which I think someone did mention that there was kind of this whole like band drama vibe,
Nice.
which, yeah, I think there is going to be a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah. Now you say they're partners. Do you say they get along? Just like, do they want to work together? Both, because if they're already like romantically together, do they also want to work together when it comes to like their goals, or while Mint's developing their goals, or does Sorbet want to do her own thing while Mint is doing her own thing as well?
I think they do kind of do their own separate things.
Mhm.
That's just the nature of creatives
Yeah.
a lot of the time. You'll kind of be adjacent to each other. sometimes it'll overlap, but most of the time, uh, it's kind of like me and my partner. My partner's a writer.
Oh
I
yeah.
obviously do my videos and animations and things. While we do discuss stories and things together, mostly we just tend to kind of create things parallel.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's also like characters or people who are in like a relationship together don't necessarily, need to like always be together one like be joined at the hip almost.
Yeah. It felt important to kind of make them both distinct from each other, despite them being in a
Mhm,
relationship.
mhm. Yeah. Now, to move on a bit more to another musical character is Cherry. Uh,
Oh, I'm just seeing how old these are now. These are like from the very first introductions shorts, aren't they? Jeez.
yeah. Man. Yeah, really love this design for Cherry. Can you tell us a little bit more of them?
Yeah, so Cherry was the character who Sorbet used to be in a band with. Cherry is a singer. Uh, Also, aesthetically, I tend to incorporate a lot of 70s fashion
Mm,
into Cherry's wardrobe and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, I think they are one of my favorite characters at the moment because
mhm.
it's just they feel very relatable to me.
Yeah.
Cherry kind of gives off this cold, kind of like aloof vibe, but in reality, he's just very socially awkward. I have I'm not sure whether I want to commit to this yet, but uh, I'm thinking of maybe making him neurodivergent.
Mm.
He's also a massive cat lover. He actually has 6 cats as well,
Oh,
and those
yeah.
cats are basically like his best friends, like his whole life. He's just a very fun character to
Yeah.
develop.
I love the kind of cool anime guy, like aloof glasses, but then they're just prescription glasses.
Yeah. It's like Randall in Monster University. You
Yeah.
take the glasses off, he's like squinting
Uh,
at everyone like a evil mastermind.
yeah. Now, Cherry is the soloist. Would you say like what's their can they only play one instrument or do they play multiple things or
I think they do kind of play a couple of different instruments, but mostly it is just the vocals that they tend to focus
Mhm.
on. They're a rock
Oh,
singer mostly.
mhm. Were there any real life rock musicians or just musicians in general that inspired Cherry? Because I know you said he was inspired by 70s fashion. Was it there like a 70s like rock star you particularly liked?
Not necessarily a specific rock star. It's kind of a combination of a bunch of different bands I listen to. Like
Mhm.
I'm very much into my dad rock, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh, Queen is probably one. Obviously, Freddie Mercury. You can't go
Oh, of
wrong
course.
with
Yeah.
Freddie. You know.
Yeah.
I think in the casting call as well, I mentioned Jack White from the Raconteurs.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really like them, and also Andrew Stockdale from Wolf Mother.
Mhm.
That kind of like vocal range is what Cherry has,
Mhm.
or at the least is what we're going for. If the voice actor has something different, then that's completely fine.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah. Well, you've also mentioned the uh, looking for the voice actor's vocal range as well. Is this series going to have? How is music going to be integrated in the series, or are you looking to make this a full musical, or just do some kind of fun, like small cover songs?
uh, I wouldn't mind doing like a one-off original song. I think in the short, we're not going to prioritize music too much because, simply put, there isn't enough time to fit a song
Of
into a
course.
1 minute short.
No.
But I think one thing I would like to do is incorporate that original song because with the whole interviewee dynamics, with the interpersonal relationships we have Cherry the singer, obviously, and then we've got Sorbet the songwriter, and we also have this whole big event based around creative people. So in my mind, that would lead to them obviously having to come together to create a song.
Mhm,
So that is kind of what we're aiming for, and that song would obviously have to be something original.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, a really great design, especially the fluffy boa on the back. It's always appreciated. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But as you mentioned, this is just entertainment in general, and that all these characters are singers, such as this X character, Cinnamon, who is a stunt choreographer and dancer. Yeah, the little gremlin from last scene.
Oh, Cinnamon's fantastic. She's
Yeah.
just fun. I think what I'm most looking forward to with Cinnamon is she's very She's very ambitious. She's
Mhm.
very good at what she does, but she's also scary,
Yeah.
especially considering how young she is. She's just intense, and I think that leads to a lot of people being like, "Oh, maybe chill out a little bit." And she's like, "No, how
Yeah.
dare you ask me to calm down?"
Yeah. Now I am curious. A lot of these characters early on, they look no, at least like early 20s. How old is Cinnamon?
She's about 19. I didn't want to make her like too young, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I did kind of want to bring in a character who has that kind of naivete kind
Mhm.
of quality to her. Because a lot of these other characters, they're older, they're more sure of themselves. But I didn't want to kind of neglect the whole concept of coming into yourself as
Reality.
you
Yeah.
get older,
No.
getting more
Yeah.
comfortable in your field and things like that. And that's where Cinnamon comes in.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like so many coming of age, or even just like more, just even just adventure stories in general, tend to have like anything like that, like any sign of youth is always like 15 to like 17 to 18-year olds. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, at any age. Like I like that all your characters all are all adults and
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of reflective of me as well. Like, as far as like my niche on YouTube, I'm actually one of the older ones. I'm about 28, and
Mm.
most people seem to be like early 20s
Oh
around that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of bringing that into it as well. Like, just you can develop your craft at any age, and there's no age where
Mhm, mhm.
where your life is over or
Of
where
course.
there's no point in starting or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just for sake of mental health, just stop looking up the ages of people who are super big if you don't want to feel bad.
Yeah,
from,
exactly.
from my personal experience. Yeah. Now, you said she was a stunt choreographer and dancer. Is there a style of dance she specifically prefers, or is she like trained in anything specifically, or is it more like just like jack of trades kind of dancer?
She's very much a jack of trades. I'm not 100% sold on which dance style I would like her to have
Mhm.
yet. I think she's more of an all-rounder. I did have the idea that she kind of already has a little bit of experience as like a child actor in various TV shows or,
Oh,
just as like an extra character in the background,
yeah.
maybe on a couple of music videos or something.
She does kind of have
Um,
a state like someone who had stage mom energy, if that makes sense.
yeah, like dance moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, her role in the kind of whole event organization thing is that she is helping coordinate the team dances and things,
Mhm,
which I
mhm.
thought would work well for her considering how intense she is.
Yeah. Very nice. Does she ever clash heads with Mint or any of the other characters? If because of how young and uh, hyperactive she is.
I think she definitely butts heads with Mint. That is something I'd like to look into. I
Mhm,
think especially when it comes to the backstories, if we ever do get past the shorts, that would be kind of one of the driving forces of like the emotional beats within the story. I think because
mhm,
Mint, obviously they've left their old life behind because it wasn't really suited to them. They're not really on the best terms with family members, whereas Cinnamon is actually working part time at her parents' bakery, who themselves are very competitive and very intense.
mhm,
And because of that, that kind of leads her to not really understand when people don't have that close connection with their
mhm,
family members. And I think that's where a lot of the clashes come from.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, no, yeah. Does she get along with any other characters like Sorbet, or is it more of a? Do they just kind of view her as just the child?
I'm not 100% yet. I think the others, I think depending on the level of kind of notoriety, Cinnamon can be more or less reeled in. Like
Mhm,
Cherry, for example, I think Cinnamon tends to respect a little bit more. Like she'll still be kind of like sassy or she'll talk back, but not to the extent that she would with like Mint, for example,
mhm,
who
mhm.
is also kind of like a shrinking violet. Like they would just let Cinnamon let loose,
Yeah,
whereas Cherry would probably say like silence child.
of course. Yeah, yeah. I see the who's this lost sassy child.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering. Well, she's a stunt choreographer dancer. Does she have any skills when it comes to singing, or is that if she's saying would it be like awful?
I think she probably could sing, yeah. I'd
Mhm,
like to think that most of them have the ability to sing. It's just they tend to prioritize different facets of their creativity.
mhm, mhm.
I don't want to rule out singing because obviously, if we're thinking of songs and stuff like that,
Of
it would
course.
be, advantageous.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Now, do you want to? Do you have any like real life references to use for that you're inspired by when it comes to any of her particular movements or dancing or like just body language in general, or is it more uh, just whatever like the most energetic you can be is what her inspiration is?
Yeah, I think definitely just anything energetic. I do like a lot of I watch a lot of music videos,
Of course.
so I think there is quite a lot of like of the dance styles involved in that.
Mhm.
More so just kind of like the ones where you're just absolutely letting loose and
Oh
just
yeah.
having fun.
Mhm. Yeah. Now, to go on for from the kind of the youngest a character of the series to like a character that seems to come off a lot more mature and experienced, Plum, who I've seen plenty of fan art of. I think she might be, or the Mint, just from what I've seen from the some of the fan art and just like general perception. I think she might be the second most popular character of the series.
I have noticed that a lot of people do seem to like Plum. I
Yeah.
think that's probably because of like the duality.
Hmm.
She does have this very like prim and proper like demeanor, but she's also like she's kind of a wine mum or
Hmm.
like a vodka
Hmm.
aunt kind of
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Like my partner also describes her as like an eccentric billionaire.
Mhm. Now, yeah. Now, you mentioned she is an actress. Like, what did she? What was her specialty in? Was it also more musical styles, or did she like have more telenovelas or stuff like that, or was it just plays she was involved in originally, or is it like someone who did like all that kind of stuff?
I think definitely more towards telenovelas.
Mhm,
She definitely
mhm.
seems like a kind of TV actress or like I don't know, some kind of uh oh, I'm not I can't think of like the exact
Sitcom?
genre. Yeah, sitcom. That's it.
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking of, like sitcom movie kind of like character.
Oh yeah, yeah. If she gotta be into, if you could place her in like one sitcom, what would it be?
Oh God. That's a very good question. God, Will and Grace.
Mm.
I'm just making a stab in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I am curious. You've mentioned like how she's like a established character actress on TV and it's like very well known and more experienced in her characters. What age would you say she is?
I'd say her fame is quite recent,
Mhm,
probably about 37,
mhm,
moving towards her 40s.
mhm.
Obviously, she looks a slightly bit younger, but most rich people do, don't they?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, because it's their job to look good.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Now, she is actually hosting the charity event, the city. Uh, would you say that kind of like uh, makes the characters a bit more intimidated by her, or is she like more kind to like any of them, or is it like more just business for her?
I think it's a mix of both. I think it's less business because it is a charity event and it's one of her own making. So Plum is kind of the driving force behind the setting of
Mhm,
the series, essentially.
mhm,
The idea with her is that she has moved back to her hometown to just be with her friends and family while she takes a break from her career, in a
mhm,
sense. She's actually
mhm.
going through a divorce
Yeah.
while all of this is happening. And I think the charity event is her way of kind of diverting her energy into something productive.
Mhm,
And as a result, she's very kind of in an effort to kind of make it seem like she's not overly bothered by everything that's happening.
mhm,
She does kind of come across as very bubbly, very boisterous,
mhm,
and that in itself is kind of the thing that makes people a little uncomfortable
mhm,
because it's very I don't know, it crosses wires with how they perceive her, like this uber rich, like famous woman who seems so elegant and seems so like on another planet
mhm.
is just like sitting here like uh, talking to them about their like social media accounts.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Do you have a voice actress in mind for Mint or for Plum or?
So, like I said before, casting call for all the other characters closed on the 30th of April. So I am still deliberating. the voice actors. I have kind of a short list of the
Mhm,
ones that I like for each character. It's just a matter of getting a second opinion now at this point. I typically bring in my partner. I bring in some of the voice actors we have already. I have a voice actor ready for Bubblegum who will help me out to figure out the best voices.
mhm,
So we're figuring it out that way. But
mhm.
we are getting close to that decision.
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned she went through a divorce. Was it like a amicable split, or was it more of a a tug and tear, or was it like a rough divorce, or was it more just like it just did not work out?
So that's something I'm still trying to figure out myself,
Mhm,
really. I think it's going to be kind of a mix. Like it was a mutual agreement of, okay, we need to split.
mhm,
But the reason behind it is one that I'm still figuring out because I think it's definitely, I think I want it to be kind of more on Plum's side
mhm,
of this being instigated, but it's just kind of figuring out the driving force.
mhm,
I
mhm.
don't I don't imagine she'd be the type of person to cheat or anything like that. I don't think it
No,
would be like
no.
infidelity,
Yeah, yeah,
but it would definitely be something that's kind of a make or break thing.
yeah, yeah. Now you've mentioned like before with a lot of fashion you were inspired by 70s looks. What was the inspiration behind Plum?
Plum was very much a mix. I think in the very beginning, it was more so kind of like 60s, like 50s, 60s, like
Mm.
starlet kind of style, very glamorous, but also like kind of flirty, which is why her dress is so short. And then also on that was kind of, I absolutely love films from the 2000s. So one of
Mhm.
my favorite films is The Devil Wears Prada.
Ooh.
So I try to invest some like 2000s fashion into like her wardrobe as well, but
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
make it kind of on the more mature side.
Yeah, yeah. Though I'm assuming a much nicer version than Meryl Streep's character.
Oh yeah, definitely. Much nicer than Meryl like Streep or Miranda. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, actually, now that you mentioned it, I am curious. You've mentioned all these different eras that you were taking inspiration from fashion, but also culture. Uh, is there like a time zone for Mint and Friends, or is that more of a like up in the air? Like, oh, it's kind of the 2000s, but it's also kind of the 70s, but it's also kind of like 90s.
I think it's mostly the modern day because the
Mhm,
characters do have smartphones and things,
mhm,
but they do take inspiration from respective eras that they just like
mhm.
aesthetically. So,
Of course.
uh, Mint and Sorbet, their apartment tends to have a lot of like 1960s flower power like
Mhm,
styles to it. Cinnamon, I think, has a lot of like 2010s kind
mm.
of behind her. She's also very Gen Z. Um,
Damn youth.
yeah, but yeah, stuff like that. I think obviously Cherry 70s, Sorbet. I do like a lot of 90s styles for
Mm,
Sorbet in regards to fashion. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a mishmash. It's very much like just aesthetic mood boards for different eras for each character,
Mhm,
and that's
mhm.
it. It has no bearing on the actual time period that
Yeah,
the series takes place in.
yeah, of course, yeah, I mean, yeah, my kind of philosophy with fashion is like, whatever looks good kind of, looks
Yeah.
good, feels right. Yeah, now, in this, reference you provided, there's a character right next to Plum who looks, completely in awe of her, and he is Bubblegum, uh, who
Yes.
yeah, I actually saw in a YouTube short you did of a small interview. So would you like to kind of give more of a background of this guy?
Yeah, so Bubblegum is a former journalist turned presenter slash interviewer who has been friends with Plum for a very long time. Like when they were both getting their start, like in the
Mhm,
creative fields, they kind of helped each other out. Uh, and Plum, I think, kind of never really forgot that. So when she came back to the city where everything is taking place, one of the first people she reached out to was Bubblegum.
mhm,
And it just kind of developed from there. They decided to host this whole charity event, and he agreed to help out with any kind of interviews that she wanted to do, which is how we came to the current shorts.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, you do have, one short already on YouTube of, uh, Bubblegum interviewing Mint, in VR, nonetheless.
Yeah. So that was very much kind of like a tester for what I wanted to do with these characters. The VR was just kind of like a quirky thing because
Mhm.
I don't know, I just wanted to test it out. It was for a oh god, I think it was the 2-year anniversary of the channel. I just like doing
Ooh.
VR videos for that. Before that, it was another VR video. I think it was redrawing. It was doing versions of Pokemon, I think it was. But yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, the voice actor for Bubblegum is my friend Eddie, and they are just I don't know. I really like Bubblegum. I really like the direction his personality takes. He's
Mhm.
very kind of he's definitely the most grounded out of everyone, I think,
Mhm.
without any of the pessimism. Very gently encouraging, like very friendly. People are able to relax around him. But he's also a massive gossip.
Mhm.
So he's always in other people's business,
Mhm.
always listening to things he shouldn't. He knows slightly too much about everyone. He's a very fun character.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Would you say yeah, his character changed at all when it comes to personality when you got your friend Eddie to voice him? Like, did he put in any of his own like inflections in the character?
I think so. I think the voice, especially, he's he very much plays it up for the camera and things like that. So I
Mhm.
think that's where the bulk of that came from.
Mhm.
But honestly, Bubblegum's character was kind of the one that was the most fully formed. It feels so.
Mhm. Mm,
Eddie
mhm.
just felt like he fit that pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but is this kind of one of those things of like him playing himself, or?
I don't know, maybe. He is like they do have very similar personalities in real life, but I think my friend is he tends to be much more nervous,
Mhm,
so
mhm,
maybe not. I think this is definitely uh, we are definitely using Bubblegum as a way to kind of lift his confidence up a little bit because he used to do comic dubs on
mm,
YouTube, like voice dubs for several like fan comics and things like that. But ever since then, he's been struggling to get back on his feet, and he
mhm.
does want to get back into voice acting. So this is kind of
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
way to help with that.
Comic dogs is actually how like find like a lot of voice actors, stuff like that. But actually, I'm gonna kind of slow it down for a bit because Roundcat just asked you a question of: is there a Discord for Mint Friends, or do you have a Discord in general, Fiona Apollo?
I do have a Discord. It's semi-public. I tend to open it up from time to time. Uh, the reason for that is that I struggle a little bit in spaces that have a lot of people, hence
Hmm.
why I don't really talk much in it. I get invited to a lot of servers and I just end up lurking
Hmm.
before ultimately leaving.
Of course.
So it's very quiet, it's very chill. I may promote it after this, but yeah, I do have one. It's not strictly for Minted Friends, it's just kind of mine that's open to like
Hmm.
viewers, fans, things like that.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, there is a Discord, but not strictly for Mint and Friends.
Of course. Yeah, 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 of course. Though, as we're talking about Mint Friends, who have gotten, as we've noticed, who have gotten several pieces of fan art the past few months of Mint and Friends characters. Which is there any character you particularly like to see fan art of when you get it, or?
I honestly love all of the fan art that people
Mhm.
give me because just there's just something really special about receiving art of your characters that
Mhm.
someone cared enough to draw. You
Of
know,
course.
it makes me happy every single time.
Mhm.
If I had to choose a character, I do I feel like Plum has a lot of meme potential. So if anyone wants
Of course.
to draw any like fun memes with Plum, you're
Mhm.
very welcome to because I think that would be very funny.
Yeah, that's what it's always great whenever you see, especially of like the indie scene or like just people online where it's like someone like that character enough to do fan art. That's always like it's a really great thing that you always still love to see. Though we have talked about the characters quite a bit, but we have kind of avoided not avoid, but we haven't talked as much of the actual setting and the themes of this story. Uh, I am curious because a lot of these characters seem to be from different places. Where does this take place? Does it take place in a real city, or does it take place in a fictional city that's kind of a hybridized of anything in real life? Or
Yeah, so it is a fictional city, and it is just a case of me liking drawing a bunch of
Mhm.
diverse characters. It helps me kind of diversify.
Mhm.
my capabilities and things like that. And also, I get a bit bored drawing the same type of character every single time. So
Mhm.
that's the reason my characters tend to be very kind of diverse,
Mhm.
essentially. But in terms of the setting, it is a fictional city, but it is based visually on the city of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, purely
Mhm.
because I think that city is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that it's got a canal going through it. I love that all the houses and all of the buildings are so vibrant.
Mhm.
It's just
Ha
a very pretty place.
have
But
you, been to Amsterdam?
I'm actually going soon. I'm
Ooh.
going for like an anniversary holiday. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
We've just never really had the money to.
Oh,
But
no,
I will actually be going soon, and I'll likely be taking a lot of pictures for reference for Minted Friends.
of course, yeah. I know that. I have the thing of just looking up different places online and seeing, like, the trips it costs that I have to, like, lie to myself as to why I'm not going. I'm like, "Oh, just, a house for like, a house for just, 3 people, that's not enough to fit all my family. It's not the fact that it's $12,000,000." Like,
Yeah. Like, I've been meaning to go for ages, but yeah, the past 2 years I've been going to VidCon, so
yeah,
that's
of
been
course.
sapping a lot of my savings.
Yeah.
Oh my god, plane tickets,
Oh,
ridiculous.
man,
Jeez.
I went to my very first convention last year. I might go again.
Hmm.
It was fun, but, man, they are expensive and hot, and
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I met some voice actors there that I was a fan of. I met Brandon Rogers, very nice man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Uh, now, here we have a picture of Mint saying first day at work. So is Mint kind of working in between jobs as she's figuring out like what she wants to do? Uh,
So, in the short, when they moved to the city, which is called Kuchen City, it's basically Dutch for kitchen. Mint,
nice.
yeah, Mint takes on work at a drag bar. So this is kind of in
Mm,
line with their journey of like gender expression or gender
of
like
course.
experimentation and things like that. And on the job there is where they kind of decide to feel more comfortable and dress more femininely, and that's
Of
where they
course.
start documenting their journey via social media, and that's essentially the catalyst for them getting viral and
Hmm.
being sought out by Plum.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, of course. Uh, Now, as you mentioned it before, with kind of like because you brought up a bit of like gender fluidity with mid, is this something you want to represent in your series of more LGBTQ themes, or do you are other your characters going to find different ways to express themselves, or are you say they're more like complete? Uh,
So it's a bit of a it's a bit of both, I think. I do
mhm,
very much want to home in on LGBT representation because that is
of
something
course.
very important to me. I myself, I'm ace.
Hmm.
I'm an ace lesbian. My partner's non-binary. I know a lot of people who are kind of all different flavors of sexuality and gender identity. And the fact of the matter is, I enjoy being able to see people express themselves and be
Hmm.
happy in who they are, and that's one of the driving forces behind creating a story like this. But
Hmm.
at the same time, I do also want the story to stand out for other things and not just be,
Yeah.
you know, celebrated because of
Hmm.
the LGBT themes.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's always a interesting thing to balance when it comes to this kind of series. Would you say their main focus for a lot of times the goal is like to become uh, almost like make it into entertainment industry, or is it more something else that you want to like find like what their kind of big arc will be?
I think each character has kind of a different goal in mind. I
Mhm.
think for Mint in particular, making it big was never even on the table. It was just something that happened, and it was that whole thing of having greatness thrust upon them. I suppose that
Okay.
old saying.
Yeah.
Other characters, I think Cinnamon especially embodies that the most.
Hmm.
Wanting to make it in an industry that she idolizes, she
Hmm.
absolutely adores.
Hmm.
Acting and dancing and all of that good stuff.
Of course.
Uh, Cherry, by contrast, did it because they were good at it. They got brought on by an indie label and they just decided, yeah, this makes money. This funds my lifestyle.
Mhm.
This helps me make sure my cats are fed. Let's
Yeah.
keep going.
Of course.
And yeah, there's all different like I don't think there's any one singular like, oh, they
Hmm.
all want to make it big. They all want to be famous because that's
Hmm.
not really what it's about.
No,
Like,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. But also, you've mentioned of characters, not just making it, but also just working and stuff like that. Do all of your characters have a side job? Because you mentioned that Cinnamon, she works at her parents' bakery. Mince, she worked at a drag bar. Do characters like Plum? Does she work at? Do they work at anything else, uh, or does Sorbet work at a different place?
So a lot of them, it's kind of a toss up, really. So Cinnamon obviously has her part time job with her parents.
Hmm.
Cherry's main job is being a singer. Uh, Sorbet has her job as a ghostwriter. That is her main job at the moment.
Hmm.
She moved away from uh, being like in a band and trying to make it big and stuff like that because
Hmm.
it was more so just a hobby that she did with her family and friend. Uh, Plum, I think Plum is rich enough that she doesn't have to worry about like jobs outside of acting and things. Uh, Bubblegum, he's kind of a undecided case because obviously he is going to need to work in this industry, but at the same time, I don't know whether I want him to do anything on the side.
Hmm.
He has a hobby of knitting. I rem- that is, I don't know. I just thought that was cute.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he sells things online. I have no idea.
Mhm.
But yeah, in terms of like side jobs and whether or not that's the main creative field,
Mhm.
it's I kind of want that to be reflective of real life. Sometimes it's the case and sometimes it isn't.
Of course. No, yeah, of course. Uh, Now, would you say is do you want most of your comics or web episodes or anything like that to be hosted around the charity, or is it more like it's going to be something that's going to build towards the big charity event, or is that uh, something you're not as focused on or giving as much consideration?
Yeah, so the charity event itself, it is something to work towards. So in the shorts themselves, they are being interviewed in the lead up to it.
Hmm.
And if we were to establish a more like long form series, that would kind of be the climax of the plot itself, where things
Hmm.
would all come together.
Yeah, nice, nice. Is there any like specific interview you want to see? Because are they all going to be just Bubblegum interviewing them, or is it going to be is Plum going to come in, or is it just like is Bubblegum get a chance to interview each of every one of these characters?
Yeah, so Plum will have her own like couple of interviews, but they will be framed more so as kind of promotion and announcement to the viewers
Mhm.
about what's going on within the setting.
Mhm.
Um, the interview kind of layout that I've got is let me just pull it up. I did make a note of this.
Oh.
Yeah, here we go. So it's essentially the first short for each character will be just kind of who they are and what they do.
Mhm.
The second one will be what led them to their chosen path, how they got there.
Mhm.
The third one would be the people they've encountered, like the relationships they have, and how that kind of forged how the way that they went. And
Mhm.
the last one would be what they hope for the future
Mhm.
within the chosen field. So
Mm.
it's kind of a progression. There's kind of a story within the short, like within the interviews themselves of these
Yeah.
characters and where they're at and where they're hoping to go.
Yeah. 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 That's great. Speaking of this, are there any like character dynamics or interactions you think the fans are really going to like, or like something that's going to take off, or something you're specifically really looking forward towards?
Yeah, so I'm quite excited to go into the whole dynamic between Mint and Cinnamon because
Mhm.
half because I think it will be very interesting, but also half because I think an adult beefing with a child is hilarious.
Of course,
I just find that intensely funny.
just your
Um,
average Twitter conversation.
yeah, literally. Just a millennial getting like spooked out by a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's also Sorbet and Cherry because there is that existing tension. A character that will also kind of be featured, who isn't necessarily a part of the interviews, is obviously the third member of the band Licorice,
Mhm.
who is Sorbet's brother.
Mm.
Uh, he kind of plays a role in how Sorbet and Cherry interact with each other and how they come back together in a
Mhm.
sense.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. A lot of pre-established history and kind of
Mm,
tension with that kind of stuff.
yeah, band
So
drama.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. 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 Is there uh any like d- are you looking for this to be like a full are you ever aiming for like a fully animated short, or is it mostly going to be more of a AMAC or like almost like motion comic kind of style thing, or do you want to bring on more people, or
So I do want it to be fully animated because I do like doing that type of animation. It's what I'm trained in.
Mhm,
Uh, so no one is helping me out on these animations. It is all by myself, which is why the first
mhm,
short is taking so long to be made.
mhm. Of course.
Yeah, but mostly I am doing kind of a limited animation kind of style. So that would
Mhm,
be the kind of animation that you see in TV or uh, that you would see in anime. So like a lot of it will be animated on twos and threes.
mhm, mhm. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, just to go back a bit. Someone just asked, have you ever been to San Diego Comic Con?
No, I haven't actually been to any Comic Cons in the States. I've been
Mhm,
to plenty in the UK. I've been to
mhm,
Manchester quite a few times for Comic Cons because that's the
mhm,
most accessible city for me.
mhm,
I've been to one in London, but London is quite a trek because I live up north.
mhm.
I've been to a couple dotted around the Midlands. I've been to Birmingham a few times, mostly when there is a con. I tend to make it a bit of a day trip and
Mm,
go out to one of the bigger cities because they tend to be the ones
yeah,
with like more of the better artist alleys and things in a sense.
yeah, yeah. You kind of gotta make it a day trip with how big big some of them can be.
Yeah, if I'm going to be spending a lot of money on artworks and stuff like that, I want to make a day out of it, you know.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah. The speaking of artwork, you have on your YouTube account, you do, and your TikTok, you do have several already established shorts. Would you like to tell anyone about them, of like where they can find you in other locations?
Yeah, of course. So obviously there is my main YouTube channel, Fiona Apollo.
Mhm,
So on the I do have a couple of playlists relating to the shorts development. So I do have a couple that introduce all of the characters prior to any kind of story elements being implemented. It's just me creating character
mhm,
sheets for the characters and just explaining who they are, a bit of what I'm thinking with them, and a lot of that they were really fun to make actually because I did get a lot of feedback on them, being like, "Oh, what do you think of this? This kind of like visual
mhm,
little tidbit would be really cool." That's how we ended up with Cherry's glasses,
mhm,
kind of looking the way they do. But yeah, that was really productive. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, you can view all of those on my channel. They're all in a playlist. Mint and Friends Development, I think it's called. You
mhm.
can also find me on TikTok. That's where I did more of the kind of just one-off funny videos relating to the characters. I haven't done a couple in a while purely because I've been so busy, but I
Of
am hoping
course.
to pick that back up.
Is there a name for that kind of video, of like where you use the sound from something else to make a meme with your characters?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure. I just call them meme videos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, YouTube and TikTok is my main one for if you want to see Mint and
Mhm,
Friends
mhm,
video content. In terms of artwork and things like that, I mostly post on Twitter because it's just the easiest platforms for me to gather info when it comes to my
mhm.
YouTube stuff. I also just enjoy watching people argue because I think it's funny.
Of course.
Twitter's perfect for that. I'm also on Tumblr. But yeah, those are my main socials, really.
Mhm.
I'm also on Instagram, but Instagram I'm a little touch and go on because I'm not fond of the algorithm.
Oh
So
no,
I
yeah.
will post there, but sparingly.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Now you've mentioned, as we brought up before, how there has been like some people commenting on your characters as you develop them. Would you say your characters are more like these are almost like your final drafts of these characters, or are you planning on like doing any more changes with them character wise, or are they all pretty much like finished?
I think the main cast, the six characters that we have right now, are pretty solid. I think these are more or less the
Mhm,
final drafts. Other characters like Licorice, I've been deliberating for ages and ages, purely because I want him to be like a really cool kind of rock and roll metalhead kind of character, but I
mhm,
can't decide on his visuals.
mhm,
I'm not sure what hair I want to give him. I'm not sure what clothes I want to give him.
mhm,
So, in terms of side characters, those are still kind of in deliberation for the
mhm,
most part because I'm just I'm indecisive.
Of
I want my
course.
characters to be fun and stylish and
Oh,
distinctive. But yeah.
no. Yeah, yeah, of course. And yeah, just the animation in general and the poster is already like very like eye-catching and with all the
Thank you.
characters up and foremost. Yeah. Do you is there anything really specific you want to like share of like a detail that's like coming up that you think will kind of draw people to your series, or is there like something you really want to like that you're currently working on right now that you think will like people are really gonna love?
I would honestly say, just aside from the main Mint and Friends first short, I'm not too sure on that because I've mostly just been doing this for me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's how I've kind of just been finding the drive to do all of this.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
otherwise, I get too hung up on, oh God, will everyone like this? Is
Hmm.
this right? Is this gonna like hit all the right notes? Is it coming at the right time? Uh, so I would say no. Aside from the main short, there's not really much that I can divulge to people, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Uh, and you're the only writer, correct? Like you're this is pretty much like a one man army thing for the most part.
More or less, yeah. Like I said before, my partner's a writer, but they
Mhm.
don't really involve themselves with the writing process.
Of
They just
course.
proofread it more than anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Now, uh, yeah. Is there anything follow up you want to divulge or talk about anymore with the series? Like any more themes or anything else you want to cover?
Uh, I don't think there is. I think the main thing for this series is that it's something that has helped me through a lot.
Hmm.
So originally, I was trying to become an animator before 2020. I hit a bit of like a rock bottom situation, and developing this series has really helped me build my confidence back up because up until now, I was experiencing some major animation burnout. I couldn't
Oh,
animate
of
properly
course.
without getting exhausted or down on myself, and I hated it.
Hmm.
But now that this is kind of coming together and people seem to really enjoy it, and it's, there's a solid foundation to it. I just want to say that if you are in, like, if you're interested in it or if you're interested in creating something like it, do it and make sure you do it for you because this is probably the best decision I've made
Yeah,
in terms of my own personal enrichment.
yeah, yeah. If you're out there and you're listening, just follow your stupid fucking dreams.
Yeah.
Though, yeah, of course. Of speaking, uh, you are also animation commentary channel, and today you just released your another video of the Disney TVA leaks, another art commentary video. Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to like your art commentary style or anything like that?
In terms of my art commentary, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. Um, there tends to be a bit of like tension when it comes to art commentary creators because it's the nature of the group. I
Mhm.
think we all need something to talk about, so we talk about each other. But I tend to mostly discuss animation topics the best that I can. I
Roses
try
equals
and
gays.
yeah.
Does the rose is gay or?
Sometimes you just gotta talk about something silly,
Mhm.
But yeah, I like keeping up to date on like animation news and all of that stuff. I'm very kind of I feel like I've become a bit of like a advocate for workers' rights in animation at
Of
the
course.
moment. It's a lot of what I talk about and all of that kind of stuff. I talk about industry practices and things. So if you are interested in that stuff, feel free to give me a listen. Obviously, a lot of it is speculatory because I'm not a full-on like
Yeah.
dedicated industry professional. I'm just someone who had a shot at it, but 2020 kind of knocked me
Yeah.
down, so I'm building it back up
Oh, of
indie
course.
style.
Yeah, I think that's how all kind of media speculation kind of starts of like in like commentary. If like it's all just originally rumors, but like it's all just something you gotta just wait and do research with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you very much for coming on, Fiona Apollo. I am Greyworks, of course, the creator of Howling Hoods and Myth Manhattans, which might be out next month. No promises. But in the meantime, you can follow Fiona Apollo on her YouTube channel. You can follow her on her TikTok, and you can also follow her on her Twitter. Hold on, let me just pull that up. Sorry. Here we go. You can follow her on her Twitter as well. Uh, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I've been meaning to, have you on board for a while. I've been a fan of your work. Uh, uh, Someone just asked, can we get a Discord link? Would you be comfortable with that, or is that more of a no for now?
I will likely share that when I'm ready. Like I
Okay,
said,
of course. Follow her on
yeah.
Twitter if you want to see her. Yeah, you can follow her on Twitter, and uh, if no, if she's up for that, just be patient. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much for having me on board, for coming on board. It was very fun learning about your series. I always love learning about different indie anime projects, including anything that includes web comics or movies or TV shows. Yeah, I'm Greyworks. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Bye, guys.